Thank you, Sumati. Sorry, I'm now back. Or maybe I spoke for 3 hours there. Even though I speak, nothing is coming here. No, I'm speaking. Thank you, Sumati. Oh, now I see 11 messages in the chat. All the messages. Maharaj, you are muted. You are muted. There's no sound. You are muted, Maharaj. You are muted. Sorry, Sakirati. Maharaj. Please give us some nectar, Maharaj. I'm so cruel. Sorry for that. Thank God we have cell phones also.
Well, she called me yesterday too.
I did the same thing yesterday. No.
No. I knew it was. I had a feeling it was about the talk.
Yeah, because if nobody called, I would be speaking for an hour. 16,108 messages. So well, what? Here we are. Nrsimha Bhagavan ki jai. So yeah, Thakur Bhaktivinoda was praying yesterday, trying to crying, as we mentioned. Each one of these words were special, were powerful. Just when we can stop the whole series in that one. Coming from someone like Thakur Bhaktivinoda, when the day will be mine. I'm crying, I'm praying at the feet of Sri Nrsimha Bhagavan, trying to gain entrance into the service of Sri Radha Madhav in the land of Nadia. So again, a very unique combination of prospects. So we will try to also unpack in these days that. But today we will continue with the third verse, which is again an elaboration of the previous ones. And now Prahlad Maharaj will officially enter into the stage, if you will. Although we have been speaking about him yesterday and the importance of all what that Prahlad represents. Do you remember regarding this foundation to the temple of Bhakti Rasa and the context of Santa Rasa's the invisible foundation? No, we might say, oh, there's no Santa Rasa. It's there in the foundation. You can dig a hole and it will be there, which makes the whole project sustainable in the context of selflessness and universal compassion and absence of victim consciousness. Also, we spoke about that. So Prahlad personifies all that, and in this verse, he will officially appear among us. So the verse says like this: Jadyapi Vishana Murti Dusta Jiva Prati Praladhadi Krishna Bhakta Jane Bhadrayati Kaveva Prasana Haye Sakripa Vachane Nirbhaya Karibe Ei Mudda Akinchani. So again, very crucial terms one after the other. Sri Thakur Bhaktivinoda says, even though Sri Narasimha is terrifying toward the sinful souls, he's very gentle with devotees like Prahlad. When will he be pleased and make this poor, foolish soul fearless with his compassionate words? That's the prayer. This is verse 38 in the Navadvip Bhavataranga. This is the third of 5 prayers by Thakur Bhaktivinoda to Nrsimha Bhagavan in the pursuit of the Raga-marga, trying to really be card-carrying members of the Raga-nuga Sampradaya, which is not about just carrying a card, but carrying something inside of our heart. So, but again, all this is in the context of cleaning our heart, purifying ourselves in the context of pursuing the highest ideal given by our Rupa-nuga Sampradaya. So let's try to go word by word a little bit of this verse. The first line says, Yadyapi Vishana Murti Dusta Jiva Prati. So Yadyapi means like, although, so he will create this contrast how the Srimhadev is seen by different people. Vishana Murti. Vishana Murti means the embodiment of terror. So you can imagine. What's your name? Embodiment of terror. My pleasure. It's like, okay. If you approach him with certain particular desire, you will receive that greeting. Vishana Murti, the embodiment of terror. Dusta Jiva Prati. He then said, Prati to Dusta Jiva. Dusta means wretched, you say in English, like the sinful souls. So to the sinful souls, the Srimha Bhagavan is embodiment of terror. Because as you may imagine, he's the personification of, well, the enemy of our anarthas, let's say. So if you are attached to that, well, prepare because your guts will be flying here and there. As we spoke the other day, all these ingrained anarthas are inside of us like our guts. And we sometimes let our lives be led by what our guts tell. But sometimes those guts are to be used as garland for Narasingha in the context of being taken off. So the second line gives a contrast. On one side, he's the personification of terror for those sinful souls. Now, of course, we will speak about what means sinful soul. And then Praladadi Krishna Bhakta Jane Bhadrayati. On another side, Praladadi, which means Prahlad, etc., or those like Prahlad, in relation to those like Prahlad, Krishna Bhakta is further qualifying Krishna Bhakta Jane, those who are devotees of Krishna, Bhadra, Bhadrayati. So Bhadra means auspicious, basically. We have Subhadra, Bhadra, Balabhadra, so many Bhadras, so much auspiciousness. So he's extremely, Bhadra Ati, similar to Subhadra, so means like too much. I mean, it's never too much. So Bhadra Ati, extremely auspicious, extremely like gentle, kind, compassionate, as we know how Nrsimhadev became when Prahlad entered the scene. We will speak about that. So he presents that particular situation, that particular like portal, and then comes the prayer in connection to that. Thakur Bhaktivinoda very humbly will identify himself with, I'm of the first group. As we say yesterday, I'm closer to Hiranyakashipu than to Prahlad. So how can I, by the grace of Narasingha, be taken closer to those like Prahlad? So he says, Kabe Bab Prasana Hoye Sakripa Bachane. So Kabe, again, when? When or when? So again, all these words when carries this implication of hope. Again, you realize I'm in this particular situation and place, but I know this is my place to be. This is my potential waiting for me. This is my real home. As Srila Maharaj will say, the pranava om means yes. It's a confirmation that you are looking for exists. Your potential is waiting for you somewhere, if you will. So when, many of these prayers will be accompanied by this idea of when. To Kavi Bab Prasana, hi. Prasana hi means be pleased. When he will be pleased. Sakripa Bachane. So he will share with me Kripa Bachana. Bachana means conversation, words. And Kripa means Kripa. Even no need for translating. The very word sounds nice like this, like it is. Kripa. The Kripa Bachana. That should be our. Of course, this isn't a proper concept. I'm asking Ministry how to give me merciful words. It doesn't mean like tell me something nice to my ears. You know that you go to the sadhu and says, please say something compassionate to me, and you already know what he should be saying. No, it's not like that. Compassion may come in the form of some compassionate slapping, you say, or some caressing, may take different forms. Srila Prabhupada once says that if the guru is slapping you, that hurt, or or he's caressing you, in both cases he's giving his mercy, her mercy. You shouldn't make a difference. Oh, this one hurt. This one was more. Oh, it's coming from the same source. The source is important. It's not matter the form it takes. I want the connection with the quality source. Or we can go, of course, go beyond that and say the chastisement is a special sign of mercy. Bhartsana Kriparalakshan says chastisement is a special symptom of mercy. Of course, this is not promotion of masochism, and the guru will beat the disciples to death in the name of being affectionate. I'm not saying anything that is dysfunctional or abusive, but there's place for confidence. Like we were speaking the other day in the Brahmar Gita, Shira is speaking so intensely to Krishna, like calling him names from tip to toe. But why she can speak in that way? Because no one like her loves him that much. So when you really love someone, you can really chastise that person. You follow my point? Really, in the real sense, real chastisement is just cruelty, but it's another way of showing your love. I mean, if your guru chastises you and you know he loves you, I mean that chastisement is like precious, basically. Celestial Maharaj will say that. Oh, Gurudev chastised me. He considers me his property. Conclusion, I'm saved, he said. My Guru Maharaj took the stance to chastise me. That means he considers me his property. So that's all. I start to celebrate. So when Bhaktivinoda Thakur said Nisrimhadev engaged in Kripa Bhajana to me, say some merciful word, doesn't mean, oh, you are so nice, or again, promoting victim consciousness. Oh, poor of you, I will, whatever is mercy for my particular situation, I will take it. Whatever treatment is required, I'll take it. And last line, nearby, Karibe e muda akinchane. So he kind of expresses what does he meant when he says Kripa Bhajana. Many Srinhadev speak to me words of mercy. Nearby, may he free me from bhai. May he make me nearby, free from fear. Again, fear will start coming to this scene over and over again. Because again, Srinhadev is the deity of no fear. We have this quote, no fear. So, of course, Prahlad Maharaj is the personification of that. As we say, Hiranyakashipu is the anti-personification of that. And Srimhadev is the bestower of that, if you will. So nearby, Karibe. Karibe means like make me, implies action. So make me a muda, this fool that is trying to approach you. Make this fool fearless. Make this fool fearless. And akinchane, important word also, akinchane. So that akinchane means many things. We could translate it as like free from material possessions, but some other implications are there in the word akinchana. Also, of course, akinchana can be expressed like poor, and you can express the idea of like I'm a wretched, fallen, poor soul. So you can have a quote unquote negative connotation. We will see that if you really feel yourself a kinchan, in that sense, you will become a kinchan in another sense. That we will see. So that's kind of the mercy that Thakur Bhaktivinoda is asking for. Make me poor. I mean, I'm poor. I feel myself, but I make me poor in another sense. We will see. I'm free me from fear, please. So those are the compassionate words. That's the idea. I mean, if you speak compassionate words to me, please, that will be in the direction of nearby, Kinchan, and so on. So, of course, all these words from the Thakur are a very merciful invitation from him to us to leave the comfort zone, as you can imagine. Because the very idea of leaving fear, actually become nearby, being free from fear, means get out of your comfort zone. It's an important point that we need to understand somehow or other. To remain in the comfort zone means remain fearful. Although comfort zone doesn't feel like that, and we are afraid of getting out of the comfort zone. That's the paradox. I'm terrified about leaving my comfort zone, but actually, fear is there in what you feel is comfortable in a mediocre way. So sometimes our main deliberate efforts are to remain in the comfort zone. While Bhaktivinoda Thakur here is hinting, all your efforts should be in the direction of leaving the comfort zone and entering real comfort. I mean, it's not that bhakti is about feeling uncomfortable and torture or something, but understanding what's real comfort. Srila Sri Maharaj will use the expression home comfort. Home comfort. That's real comfort. As much as we are getting closer home, getting closer home, that's real comfort. So again, in that sense, we may be closer to Hiranyakashipu. Now go to the meaning of Hiranyakashipu. Soft bed means comfort zone, basically. Comfort zone. I'm in my soft silken bed with nice mattress, and so it means comfort zone. Basically, it's not only you may be also attached to your silken bed if you have it, but you may be carrying an archetypal of silken bed wherever you go. I'm not trying to abandon that so-called protected area. And all gold, soft bed, comfort zone, basically. Complacency, we may say also in English. And of course, Prahlad represents the other thing, as you know. Prahlad is just out of comfort zone. He's going through so many situations that you cannot call them comfort zone. I mean, one heavier than the previous one. But he remains at home, because he remains, that's the paradox. Prahlad is always calm, peaceful, in comfort, in the midst of the worst possible scenario. Try to think you have to go through what Prahlad was going, or your 5-year-old kid has to go through that. And Prahlad, just the only thing that happened in Prahlad was his faith was increasing, his shelter was increasing. And on the other side, Hiranyakashipu ruling all the universes, soft bed, gold, whatever, full of fear, increasingly, exponentially. So again, our challenge is to get closer to Prahlad, to get out of the comfort zone of the soft bed and entering the home comfort that Prahlad Maharaj represents. To be courageous enough to take up that challenge. And Nrsimhadev will be especially affectionate to those who take that stance, basically. That's the whole idea. And to those who are up high, as we mentioned. Hiranyakashipu is personification of high, fear, not wanting to know what's beyond my comfort zone. Someone wants to leave the uncomfort zone. So in other words, Nrsimhadev will be very merciful to those who had the courage to enter into the realm of paradox, to the realm of the unknown, the mysterious, as they call in Latin, mysterium tremendum. The very term is already scary. What if we enter there, actually? And again, we shouldn't be scared. The point is, fear is, we were speaking about that yesterday when we were coming back from the lecture, fear, about the concept of fear. It's all pervading symptom in this world. We may even not know why we are fearful. I mean, we may feel fear sometimes without knowing the real reason for that. And we may be fearful about finding out the reason. So we maybe have fear in connection to fear, to the fear we experiment. But we need to overcome fear, because again, fear, suspicion leads to suspension. We will become just like some doll or whatever. And as Guru Maharaj will say, faith on the other side is the animating principle. So you have faith as animating principle, and fear as what's the opposite of animating? Paralyzing principle. So you choose. You have to be a person with, you say in English, with principles in your life. I have principles. So are your principles animating or paralyzing? Basically. Because we can say so many things, but we have to really enter into the animation, basically. Krishna Lila is a realm of animation. Everything is so animated, so dynamic, so moving, so dancing. We hear in Golok, every step is a dance, every word is a song. Animating principle. There's no paralyzing there. No chance. Krishna is, as we spoke today, so much to do in the context of Lila Seva. Krishna is awakened 24/7, basically. So there's no fear. The point is, there's no obstacle. There's nothing that is stopping the movement there. So real transcendence approaching transcendence has to do with accepting to deal with the unknown, wanting to embrace whatever remains to be known, acknowledged inside of us. As we say yesterday, no hypocrisy, no victim consciousness. If not, we are Kali Chela, just only that. Bhaktivinoda Thakura referred to that term. Kali Chela means disciples of Kali Yuga, basically will be. You can inhabit Kali Yuga, but it's your choice to be a disciple or not in this age that is predominated by hypocrisy and victim consciousness. So, Kali Chela or Prahlad Chela, followers of Prahlad. Remember, Prahlad Maharaj had all the perfect, quote unquote, reasons to be a traumatized child. My parents wanted to kill me from day one, and he gave me drink poison and threw me to a cliff and sent me. But all the things that he had to go through. I mean, he can do like. He can be invited by Arjuna and Siddhi to the interviews. Oh, it's love.
We lock it back.
So he didn't, Prahlad Maharaj didn't victimize himself. Actually, the more obstacles he received, the more compassionate he became, and he was praying for his father, please, Bhagavan. He didn't ask anything for himself at any single moment. He only asked something for his father, if you will. So, and for others as well. So, and so again, he went through so much uncomfort, if you will, but that only increased his merciful disposition. And as we say yesterday, similarly, the role of the guru in a healthy way is to disturb us. Well, Guru Maharaj will say that. He said that to us. He himself is the guru. He's saying, my role is to disturb you. And we are like, they're like, okay. To disturb you in a healthy way. Not just for disturbance sake, but just to make you think deeply and to make you not be so sure that you already know how to do everything and that everything is in your, how you say, in your grasp. Not necessarily. There are more things that we ignore than the ones we know. There are so many things that are out of our control than the ones we can control. So we're tiny. And the role of the guru is trying to humble us and move us in different experiences, in different moments, and to realize how many nuanced angles of view are in reality and how willing we should be to accept all of them. Because again, we are trying to love God. Try to imagine how overwhelming project is that. It's not just I will go to the grocery and buy some carrots. No, I want to approach the infinite. So, no limit to which possibilities can be there. And especially if you embrace the Gaudiya's Vedanta perspective, that's even more unlimited. So it's important that we are willing basically to be schooled by higher realms. Nrsimhadev himself had said he's the chakra of Bhagavan, personified. Have you heard that idea? He's a chakra. So what sometimes the chakra is called Sudarshana. Sudarshana. So what does it mean, Sudarshana? It's not just some disc and we will behead everyone and it becomes like a gore, a sin, and Sudarshana means proper vision. Darshana means vision. Su means correct, proper. So Sudarshan, the beheading is basically I'm replacing the wicked ideas, the wrong conceptions you have, and putting a new one. That's become symbolized with so many heads rolling on the ground and currents of blood or whatever, but go to the point. No? Sudarshan means I'm replacing your vision for the proper one. I give you your proper eyes and give you proper conception. Sambandha, avideya, prayoja, proper vision. And the guru, in that sense, is a representative of Nrsimhadev. Is carrying the discourse with his achar, prachar, taking us at the comfort zone, educating us. And Simha Guru, sometimes we hear that he's like Narasingha in that sense, the lion side of the Guru, invoking the chakra, connect to Narasingha and correcting, providing us of Sudarshan. Sudarshan. And we have to embrace that disc, basically. Even though we may see our own head rolling there. You are not your body, you are not your head, no problem. You continue life. So we are to allow the sadhu to play a significant role in our life. Today I was sharing this idea that came to my mind some days ago when I'm writing some stuff. So my Guru Maharaj at one point said that he offered himself to check the material. So basically to edit that. It was like, okay, that would be interesting. I tried to write that in his service, so in one sense, I don't feel it's my book, my thing. So, of course, he can do whatever he likes with that. So, but of course, it's challenging because I remember Guru Maharaj started to edit the first chapter, and he almost suggested me to delete half of it. And I was like, okay, I signed the contract, so I will keep on that because I trust his vision, Sudarshana. But you feel like, oh, because the book for me represented like an extension of myself. That's a symbol. Like, no, I wrote that, put ideas, time, energy, inspiration, and Gurudev comes and say, that's not necessary. That's not helping to the project. So let's cut that out. I'm like, ooh, but Guru, that was my favorite paragraph. It's not adding to the whole thing. No, cut that out. He's editing me, actually. He's not editing the book. I was feeling that. He's the editor-in-chief of my own self. He's editing the book, but the role of the Guru is editor-in-chief, you say in English? And we, our disciples, are to allow ourselves to be edited. Because he was telling me, whatever I'm suggesting, and it made perfect sense, of course, is so the book becomes more readable. No, he was suggested many things in the context of being more conciseness. Mm-hmm. I have a lot of problems with that. You can see I speak a lot. So conciseness and more readability, whatever. So thinking, yeah, similarly, that's a parallel situation of what's going on simultaneously with my inner self. The Guru is trying to edit me to make myself more readable. So I can read my own self better. I don't have it too much clear how to read myself, how to acknowledge what's going on there. I'm more concise. Simplicity has its advantages. There are so many things that are in excess there. So get rid of this, get rid of that. And I remember Guru Maharaj told me, you won't lose anything. I will edit many things that the most important part will remain there. You won't lose the important part. And that's the important thing. The point is, I care to not lose the important part, or I'm more concerned about remaining with the other stuff that I know it's non-essential. So of course we may be concerned about the two things, a little bit here, a little bit there. But in time, our relationship with Sri Guru should be in the direction of being more and more concerned with only the essentials, and the Guru will be cutting and editing and pasting whatever and trying to only make the essential section remain. The project will become readable. So this has to do with Nrsimhadev as well. Again, in one sense, Sri Guru is not different from Krishna. There is one side to that, Sakshat Hari Vena. So in one sense, the Guru Nrsimhadev is not different from Krishna. So the Guru is not different from Nrsimhadev in that particular sense, one of the two sides of the equation. So my point is, all the things that we are speaking in these lectures about Nrsimhadev, in practical terms, also apply in our relationship with the Guru and the Sadhu. So it's not that I have to expect Nrsimhadev to appear from this particular. Just be careful, just in case. No, it may happen if you have the vision of Prahlad. It's already there. But the point is, the particular appearance of Narahari will take form in our daily life in form of their representatives, now their agents, the sadhus. And they were trying to, as Bhaktivinoda Thakur said it, they will make us fearless with their compassionate words. But again, if we are willing to do so, because sometimes the sadhu will speak compassionately, and if we are not properly situated, that may increase our fear. Because compassionate words from the sadhu invite in the direction of surrender and serenagati. So we are to feel at home with that prospect. Serenagati should really, whenever we hear the word serenagati, we should feel at home, like protected, like blessed. That someone even say the word Sarana reminded me that something like this exists. That's what will free me from all fear, actually. So fear is there again. Fear is there from tip to toe, from day one in material existence. And as we say, generally we are quite. It's interesting because in this world we misread reality to the point that we feel we will be loved only if we are perfect. So there is fear in that calculation. I'm fearful not to be loved. So since it seems that the rule in this world is to show myself as perfect, I will show myself as perfect so I'm loved. But the background of all that is fear. So with such a background of fear, how do you expect that all that converges into love? I mean, it's the exact opposite, basically, one thing with the other. But sometimes we move in this world like this. I have to show perfect. I mean, I know I'm not perfect. No, nobody's perfect. But let's make the show. Let's upload the Instagram picture of the day with all the layers of Photoshop and what I'm perfect. By the way, nice pictures of all in Of course, nice. Some layers of perfection there. It's okay, no problem. You can continue with that. I was not pointing to you when I gave this example. But as we say always, no, I mean, we want to be, real love is unconditional. So real love, we have to look for unconditional circumstances. We are receiving that. We are being loved unconditionally, and that's so hard to accept because it's so ingrained in us that, I mean, it's something else. Generally, we might think, no, I have to be like this in order to. And there's all this game of deserving merit and justice, which is a whole hoax. And even we may, as we were speaking today earlier, we may project that idea into the realm of the sadhus. Like, for example, I'm with one sadhu, and I will love him or her and have faith and serve and surrender only as much as that person remains perfect. But when I realize that person maybe makes some mistake, I realize I'm not ready to offer unconditional service because that person is no longer perfect as I thought so. But the idea of unconditional service is no matter if the other is perfect. So, and we are receiving again unconditional love by Sri Guru, the Vaishnavas. So we are to respond ideally with the same currency, with unconditionality. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur is praying, please free me from fear. We'll say, like, free me from all those things that make my love conditional, not unconditional, that create obstacles and make my love a calculated business or whatever. Like they need to be validated by the environment, by showing ourselves in a particular, I mean, unconditional environment, that won't be there. Unconditional love, unconditional love already validates you in the best possible way. You follow. If you are in front of a person that has unconditional love, that unconditional love is validating your real sense of identity like nothing else. And when you are with someone that it's only conditional, you need to make a whole show, no? So the other person loves you, accepts you, and you feel, okay, now I'm doing fine, but I have to keep the show. I'm doing fine. I have to update the character. I'm doing fine. Everyone loves me. It's like, at the end of the day, when you're with your pillow, you are going crazy. So we need a rest for such a exhaustive journey. And that's when we reach the feet of someone with unconditional love, when we can just be the disaster we are. If you will, the disaster, but with the brightest potential. Well, that's a sadhaka, a disaster with the brightest potential. And of course, the sadhu will see the side of the brightest potential. He was just not be pointing, oh, you are still a disaster. You are, look, no. The sadhu will see, oh, Srila say that. That's one of my favorite quotes from him. He say, your future is brilliant. That's his quote. Coming from someone like him that has lots of meaning. Because it means he's seeing that in you. If he's saying to you, try to imagine Srila Maharaj saying that to you, your future is brilliant. And we may have so many excuses to say, no, Maharaj, it's not brilliant because of this and this and this. As much as you say all those things, he will, with more strength, say, your future is brilliant. I'm seeing that. Trust my vision. You are seeing all this long list of stuff. I'm seeing your future is brilliant. Try to get hold of what the sadhu is seeing in you, basically. And what they represent, as he himself said, the guru is your own potential appearing before your own eyes. The sadhu is your own potential embodied, showing, oh, this is all you can become in. So again, when we reach the feet of unconditional love, that's the most validating experience we can see, because unconditional love really validates our real existence as souls and in connection with the potential of the soul. So if we remain in that line, there's nothing to fear, basically. Narasingha won't be fearful. We don't have to be trembling or something. But if we choose to retain some separate agenda, as much as we do so, okay, there will be some trembling here and there. Narasingha may appear, but often, like our Guru Maharaj shares the example when he appeared and when he killed the very personification of material desire and artist Hiranyakashipu, he was in this ugra mode. He will share that all the devas were there and came and offered prayers, Narahari, Bhagavan. But his ugraness, his anger kept increasing. So the devas at one point were like afraid because they got this insight. They realized, oh, Nrsimhadev is so angry because he gets angry at separate interest, as material desire. Hiranyakasipu is the personification of that. So he entered into that mood to destroy selfish desire, which is glorious. We need some intensity in order to deal with all those things. As Srila Prabhupada once said to our Guru Maharaj, I came to your country as an aggressor. And Guru Maharaj said, thank you. So we need some healthy violence in that context. So Nrsimhadev was in that mood because material desire invited him to enter into that mood. So he did what was necessary. And the devas were there. They were not Hiranyakashipu. They were part of the good guys. But at the same time, the devas are Sakama Bhaktas, which means they are devotees, but they will call Krishna when they have some problem, let's say. They are really clearly depicted along Shastra. The Asuras are making them part, and the Devas will go and pray, milk ocean here, or help us, Bhagavan, please. Which is okay, again, as we say yesterday, at least they go to Bhagavan. They are aware of him in a particular context. But they are Sakama Bhaktas. They are not Nishkam. So Sakam means still there is fear, still there's not full peace. Krishna Bhakta Nishkama Taiva Santa Bhakti Mukti Siddhi Kami Sakalya Santa. So the more, as much as you have separate interest, you are asanta. Asanta means non-pralad. You are not in peace. And Krishna Bhakta Nishkama. As the more you are free from selfish desire, the more you are in peace. So that's a good way of measuring your inner world. If you are not in peace, try to not blame the circumstances outside of you again, but try to see where are my desires reposing. So the Devas had some material desire, and they saw Nrsimha Dev is so angry related to material desire, and we have material desire. And he acted like this with Hiranyakashipu, who is a personification of material desire. We are not like Hiranyakashipu, but we have some, the Devas concluded, some Hiranyakashipu in us, some material desire. He may not tear apart our chest, but maybe, who knows? I don't know. So all the Devas were fearful as well, because they knew we have material desire. So the point is, you have material desire, you will be fearful. Because of course, whatever you desire materially, you cannot keep it, and that creates a whole circle of anxiety. And on the contrary, if you know, and all the Devas were totally paralyzed again, not animated, but paralyzed in front of Ugra Nrsimhadev, and they didn't know what to do to pacify him. Even Lakshmi Devi said, I've never seen my husband like this. He has his days, but never like this. Oh my gosh. So eventually they concluded, Prahlad, do something. I mean, save us. It seems that he will destroy the whole universe. Do something. So Prahlad just walked by spontaneously, naturally, without calculation, without fear, and just walked to Nrsimhadev and jumped on his lap. And only by the immediate contact with Prahlad, Nrsimhadev enter into a totally different frequency. And as we know, started to lick Prahlad. He found Prahlad so worthy of being licked. So much sweetness was there, so much love, so much purity. So the unconditional love, again, non-unrestricted, ahaitukiya pratihata, flowing through the pores of Prahlad. So Nrsimhadev said, I have to relish this. He relished Hiranyakasipu another way. According to the particular circumstance, he honored that principle, but with Prahlad, to take the nest another way. So again, if we want to get closer to Prahlad Maharaj, we need to touch, to contact this unconditionality, not fear, and becoming, as Bhaktivinoda Thakur prays here, akinchana. That's a very nice word, scary sometimes also. Kinchana sometimes also a name given to the renunciants, which means without possession. There's this famous verse in the Bhagavatam, in the prayers of Kunti Devi. How does it say? Janma Ishwari Srita Sri Veer Edamana Madapumam Naibarhatya Vidatumbai Twama Kinchana Gocharam. So she's saying, Janma Aishwarya Sruta Sribhi. So good birth, Janma Aishwarya, wealth, opulence, Sruta, knowledge, Sri, beauty. When one is too much still entertained with all things, they cannot pray to you from a sincere place in their hearts. Not full. There's too much distraction, if you will. And she says, Twama kinchana gocha, unless Prabhupada translates that line, unless they become materially exhausted, they won't approach you with a sincere heart. So again, please do not be scared. All of you are too serious now. Materially exhausted, that's an interesting. He translates akinchana as materially exhausted, which I, of course, carry out the implications of you yourself have to reach the point that you realize this is not working. So I'm exhausted from that. I went through all the way till I wanted and still doesn't work. So, because nobody can reach the insight for you. It's not that I will say you blah, 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 blah. We have to walk the talk. So, so attachment to those things, Janma, Ishwarya, Sutras, all this is real poverty. It's actually. All this is real foolishness. All this is real fear. This is what's being said here by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Again, the idea of fear. You cannot keep the knowledge you get in this world, the beauty you get in this world. whatever you get in this world, it kind of keeps up. Akinchana means be free from that, become free from. But of course, we are not jnanis, we are not vairagis, we are not promoting just getting freed from stuff in this world. That would even make our heart harder, says Rupa Goswami. So be careful with that. As we were speaking yesterday, we may even develop some moksha samskar, and we would just want to get out from this world, and that's not a. I mean, according to our Bhaktivinoda Parivar, to have a desire for moksha is an anartha. He says, imagine, it's one of fourfold division of material desires. He will categorize that as material desire. You want gross sense enjoyment, you want heavenly delights, you want mystic perfection, you want moksha. Still, the idea you want is there. So for us, it's like not the idea. But we have to become a kinchana. Bhaktivinoda Thakur here is praying, let me become a kinchana. So what does it mean also, a kinchana? A kinchana means he whose only possession, kinchana, is a. I mean, in English you say a, no? But it's the letter A. What does Krishna say in the Gita? Of all the letters of the alphabet, I am? Sorry?
The letter A.
A. So our church had say akinchana also means that. That's the full circle of renunciation, if you will. It's not so just materially exhausted and free from all possessions, but whose only possession, kinchana, is A. Krishna. And that's how you will be free from anything else. Actually, for us, that's the way it works. As much as you get closer to this A, all the other letters of the alphabet will fall apart, basically. Not the other way around. So we are not for full detachment in this world. We are not for full attachment in this world. Nearby, how say the Bhagavatam? Bhakti yoga siddha. Nirbhinonati shakto bhakti yoga siddha. For obtaining perfection in bhakti, you cannot be too attached in this world. You cannot be too detached in this world. Bhakti is the middle path. Because if you are too detached from this world, you won't be able to engage anything in the service of Krishna. And if you are too attached to this world, you won't be able to engage anything in the service of Krishna. You will engage everything, but not in the service of Krishna. And if you are too detached, you won't engage anything. So middle path. And if you have middle path, bhakti yoga says siddhida. You will obtain bhakti siddhi, the perfection of bhakti. So again, all this that we are speaking is in the context of our treading the Raga-marga, which is a path so much filled with trust and confidence, because it's about Brajalokana-sarta, following the footsteps of those who we trust fully. I mean, we are giving their life to those personalities. We're just walking after them. So we need deep trust, deep confidence. That means no fear. When you cannot fear Rupa Goswami, Rupa Manjari, Subal Sa, you cannot fear them. I mean, you have to follow them for eternity. Sri Guru Parampara, and so on. It's a unique type of trust we are invited to develop. So we have to get free from fear in the context of developing that trust. That happens simultaneously. So all these prayers have to do with that. Raga Bhakti has not to do with fear. Even sometimes Vaidhi Bhakti is described as implying some type of fear, in the sense of if I do not do what scriptures say, what will happen to me? It's a particular type of fear. But as Raga Bhaktas, of course, we may not be perfected Raga Bhaktas, so as Jata Ruchya, Raganoga, Sadhakas, some fear may be there yet. So we are to work on that. And Nrsimhadev is there to help us, basically. So some ideas I want to share with you today. I may not be extending too much, and just gave a 3-hour lecture some time ago. But yeah, let's try to be courageous. Again, Prahlad Maharaj represents this courageousness. I'm trying to embrace what is needed to embrace. if we are not willing to take that step, that's a variety of that idea came once. I think you spoke about that recently. That was interesting what you wrote. I found the same conclusion. Sahajism. You have Sahajism in the sense of trying to rush to something that is above your head, or the other variety is you are not willing to rise to the occasion that you should be in now, but you try to insist on remaining in kindergarten, if you will, when it's no longer time for use of the pacifier, you say? Imagine if I take some pacifiers now and try to, okay, let's have a great time now. You're like, but what if I don't do that and some of you just suddenly like, so we will like, I mean, all the lecture will be in a particular direction. They're like, okay. So we need some, I mean, we laugh, but it's tragic comedy, basically, because we do the same in the spiritual practice. We are about to leave the pacifier, but we continue. So many pacifiers are there. I mean, my God. Comfort zone means that. One after the other, after here, pacifier, here, after that. Distraction, entertainment, pacifier. I want to stop suffering. I want to do blah, blah, blah. So that's a variety of Sahajism. Because Sahajism is to want things cheap. Want to be willing to pay the price that particular situation is asking for me. So, and Raga-nuga Bhakti is all about following Ragatmika Bhaktas. And Ragatmika Bhaktas have been described in the scripture as aprakrita sahajas. We have prakrita sahajas, we have sahajas, and we have aprakrita sahajas. So we are to follow aprakrita sahajas, but in order to do so, we have to leave all the other forms of sahajas, so we can enter into real. I mean, there's a real sahajas, and ultimately we have to become sahajas. But aprakrita one, sahaja means easy, natural, normal. Ragatmika means that those who are made of raga, it's normal for them to just flow in the direction of Krishna, Anukul Seva. But we are to follow them. But if the other forms of false sahajism is there, that's why Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta named that prakrita sahaja, to make clear there is an aprakrita version of that. So we don't want the opposite thing. We want the real thing, the aprakrita version, the one that may seem even mundane, but is super transcendental. But to achieve to follow in the footsteps of the prakrita sahajas, Ragatmika Bhaktas, in the context of Raga-nuga Bhakti, we need to get free from all varieties of sahajis. And again, to remain, let's say, neophytes when it's time to become progressive Vaishnavas, has to be like unhealthy, toxic form of sahajis. And that's preventing us from treading the path. So again, someone like Prahlad Maharaj, even though he's officially not a Raga Bhakta, he's personifying so many of these elements that we as aspirant Raga Bhaktas are to include in our project. Prahlad Maharaj ki jai. So we have some minutes. I mean, we have eternity. Ananta Katara, Sim Brahma Janmavid Ananta Katara. So there's no end to what we can say, but I don't know if you have any questions, any contributions to the cause, the Raga Sampradaya, Raga-marga Sampradaya. Each one of you have to make your own contribution. You have to be active contributing members. It's not just passive voices there.
I don't have a question, but just I appreciate you talking about editing and the editor, because when you were talking about getting the Guru's mercy and sometimes it's painful.
Mm-hmm.
It suddenly hit me that the editing process is like that. Like we might have peer editing, and that's like, oh, that's nice. What you're doing is good. It's good enough. But then if you maybe go to like you said, the editor-in-chief, then things start getting cut out, and it's a bit more painful in that way. And I feel quite edited these last few days in a good way. You're saying a lot of things and I'm thinking, oh shit, he's figured it out. Okay. So I appreciate it.
Okay,
Yeah.
we want to reach the final product so it's published and becomes a bestseller. So
Well, and yeah, and
may not be a
was-
bestseller, but
Yeah,
we are
it's-
for the real audience. So even if it's one copy, even if we ourselves will read the final word.
right, because it's getting better, the better version of ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the daily challenge: how to upgrade ourselves to our best possible version. And yeah, of course, a good editor will also say very good. Well, it's not just cut this, cut that, cut that. But the cut this, cut that is also very good. I mean, it's also part. It's not a tragedy. I was reading a book of my Guru Maharaj recommended on not a Gaudiya Vaishnava book, but a book called The Elements of Style. It has to do with how to write in English. So that was part of his editing to me. You read this book, please. But there they were speaking also that even the greatest author, they will require editing. And please do not feel bad when you realize that your work is in need of major surgery. That's not saying what you wrote is a disaster or this doesn't, it's just that it's part of the process. I mean, it has to be like that. It's like that. It's not to be discouraged or, I mean, because sometimes we have that type of weird psychology, I only if my Gurudev, when that day will come when my sadhu won't have anything else to say about me regarding editing. Why you are expecting for that day to come? Again, it's a symptom of their affection. Relish from that side, the intimacy. I mean, I can speak for myself. The closest friends in my life are the ones who have spoken to me the strongest words. Strongest words. They were crying, I was crying, but I was feeling they loved me. So tell me all the things you need to tell me, no problem. Because it may seem, I'm crying, stop, you see how I'm, no, please, continue. The other person was crying also. So, and the relationship gets upgraded, so it's no problem. We need this type of, at least one person like this in our life. At least one. Hopefully more than one, but if you have one, you're fortunate enough. Yeah.
I'm aware that you've been speaking for 4 hours. I don't want to hurt you by asking something that may open the portal. But I also want to make a contribution to Raga Bhakti.
Please.
So, the chances to ask a question. Not about what you said, but what you didn't say that you said you would say.
Okay. Radha Krishna Navadev. He's all for Gaur Gadadhar Seva. And we are in there. Remember first time I came here and I called Subal and say, this is what I think it is? He said, okay. I think I come here more often. So here I am. Shri Gaur Gadadhar ki jai. Are you willing to wait till next Friday? Or I'm asking too much? I mean, we can share.
I'll leave with a little bit of man.
Yeah. That will. Yeah.
Anyhow, you said the name.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
enough for now.
Yeah. No, because I'm saying that because next verse officially really mentions that point again. It already was mentioned in last class. But yeah, worship of Sri Radha and Krishna in Navadev. For some, unfortunately, that may seem as an oxymoron. Unfortunately, because it shouldn't be like that. Like, no, it's Radha and Krishna in Vrindavan, and in Navadev we have Mahaprabhu and Gornitai only, or whatever. But we have to understand the oneness and difference also between the two abodes and the two manifestation. So when you say Radha and Krishna, Radha and Krishna in Navadvip, who are Radha and Krishna in Navadvip? It's like if I say Gaur-Nitai in Vrindavan, it will be Krishna Balaram. So I say Radha and Krishna in Navadvip, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur is speaking in terms of worshiping them. If you know who are the Istadevs, the Istadevatas of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, you have your answer there. So who was Bhaktivinoda Thakur worshiping? You can tell me. You can tell Radha and Krishna now, there's no problem. And we translate that as Sri Sri Gaur Gadadhar. Sri Gaur Gadadhar Ki Jai. So that's a very unique, interesting conception, because generally, of course, it's the most, I will say the most on the most, and I can be 1 hour saying the most before continuing with the next part of the sentence, but the most esoteric aspect of Gaur Lila, and Gaur Lila being the most esoteric aspect of Krishna Lila, if you will. That's over and over again stated in Shastra. Mahaprabhu is described by Krishna Das Kaviraj in Chaitanya Charitamrita's Paratattva Simha, which means the ultimate limit of the absolute truth. That's a very interesting way of putting it. After speaking about Krishna, Swayam Bhagavan, and so on, Braja Krishna, Swayam, but Mahaprabhu, Paratattva Simha, the highest reach of Braja Krishna, where the Braja Lila extends itself with almost degree, that we call Gaur Lila. And of course, all its participants engage in that extension as well. So when Radha and Krishna extend themselves, extend their realm of possibilities in their love and interaction to the utmost degree, that's what we call Gaur Gadadhar. That takes a very cryptic form, which needs to be really addressed in detail. And again, I'm not willing to. I mean, Tamil Krishna is tempting me, and of course that's the gift we receive from the sadhus. They tempt us in the direction of Harikatha, which is a one-way ticket, if you will. But yeah, on Friday I was planning to delve in further detail, but try to at least have this little trailer, and hopefully all this week you'll be in a healthy obsession, trying to say what will happen on Friday. Radha and Krishna now the Gaur Gadadhar, with this Gaur Gadadhar conception about how Radha and Krishna relate to each other in Gaur Lila, because Gaur Lila is Krishna Lila, but at the same time it has a different emotional disposition, if you will, and the roles are slightly adjusted according to the necessity of the moment, the necessity of service. So everyone is adjusting accordingly so they can render proper service to the necessity of the moment. And we know Gaur Lila is really connected to a real deep necessity. As our Guru Maharaj will say, it's the absolute itself in an existential crisis. No? Krishna himself doing psychoanalysis. That's Gaur Lila, that's Mahaprabhu. Wondering about himself. Am I who I think I am? I am who everyone says I am? No? Which is the ultimate reach of myself. Who I am? Who I am? We reach the temple asking that. We reach the temple asking who I am. And we eventually discover our deity is asking the same thing. And I am to help him reply to that question. How does it? I mean, oh my God. I mean, you really need to get qualified to enter into that. Try to understand the level of adhikar that's required to enter into Gaur Lila. And what to speak specifically about Gaur Gadadhar, the interaction between them, and how sensitive and delicate is the emotional content that is happening among themselves. So again, Tamal Krishna tempted me, and now I'm trying to tempt you a little bit more. So hopefully on Friday we are properly on fire to continue this discussion. So excuse me, I cannot go more. But, I mean, it will be a nice way of leaving my body. I think if I speak for 1 more hour, I will collapse. But it's the best possible way to collapse, invoking such a topic. That's tempting for us. So, something else? I'm still asking if there is something else. To the ones connected here, anyone to the question here? No. Okay, so we will live here and we'll see each other next week. Continue with the remaining 2 verses from Sri Navati Bhavataranga, Srila Gurudev ki jai, Sriman Mahaprabhu ki jai, Sri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Shri Shri Radha Sarat Bihari Ji ki jai, Shri Shri Gaur Gadadhar ki jai, Shri Giriraj Maharaj ki jai, Nrsimha Bhagavan ki jai, Srila Sachidanandamaya Thakur Bhaktivinoda ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Gaur Premanand Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindubhyaiva cha Shritanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Ananta Koti Vaishnava ki jai. Gaur Hari